Good morning, welcome to Joe Stunner Boxing. In Lagos, Nigeria on August the 23rd, there will be a fight between two 52-year-olds. One who hasn't fought since 1999, mainly because he's been spending a bit of time in prison. And the other one who has been shot to bits for about 15 years, dangerously shot to bits, but still keeps collecting what I imagine are very small paychecks against no-hopers, people who are barely professional boxers, fighting in what looked like, from the footage I've seen, what looked like, school gymnasiums. And the funny thing about this guy is that he once knocked out Mike Tyson, the Mike Tyson. And now he's collecting a few quid here and there, allegedly or reportedly to pay for his daughter's private education. He's collecting money by basically selling himself. I'm talking, of course, about IKE IBEABUCHI. That would be the first one, the one who hasn't fought since 1999, and Britain's Danny Williams, who, like I say, actually retired about 15 years ago after being knocked out in 2 rounds by Derek Chisora for the British title, and then came back, got himself all sorts of weird and wonderful licenses over the years, Latvian licenses and Eastern European licenses where anything goes, and now has a grand total of 55 wins with 42 KOs, 33 defeats with 17 stoppage defeats. And no draws. This is in comparison to IBEABUCHI, who still has 20 wins with 15 KOs, no draws, no defeats. Now, like I say, this is going to be in Lagos in Nigeria, which is where, Nigeria, I don't know whether he's from Lagos, but Nigeria is where IBEABUCHI's from, and it's obviously a setup, a comeback fight. There's been talk of him coming back for quite a while, but at 52, having thrown his career away with all sorts of indiscretions, kidnapping prostitutes, and the man's mentally away with a fairies, obviously. But the last time he fought, like I say, 1999, was against Chris Bird. He scored a 5th round TKO. And after that, Chris Bird went on to win a couple of versions of the world heavyweight title, which is kind of amazing. But for a while, IBEABUCHI was considered to be, the most dangerous heavyweight in boxing. In 1997, he fought the previously undefeated and extremely tough David Tuer and won a unanimous decision over 12. But it was a close fight, very competitive, brilliant fight. If you haven't seen it, go and have a look. That was probably his most notable win. Although, like I say, the Chris Bird defeat, the defeat of Chris Bird was also, it's up there because Bird went on to do an awful lot with his career. For Danny, like I say, the high point of his career was knocking out Mike Tyson. Tyson, in fact, never won a fight after that. He had contests with Audley Harrison. He split a couple of contests, beat him on points, floored him, and then got knocked out by Audley. John McDermott, he beat him a couple of times on a majority in a split over 12. He was a very good heavyweight champion, British heavyweight champion. And, he won it a couple of times. I think he won the Lonsdale belt, if I remember rightly. He had, how many times did he fight Matt Skelton? Was it once or twice? I think it's twice, because he lost one. He won one and lost one. Yeah. Oh, and of course, Michael Sprott. He fought him 3 times, won 2 and lost 1. This was the British scene, domestic level, was pretty good back then. And there was a sort of round robin, Sprott, Audley Harrison, Danny Williams, Skelton. And this would have been first decade of the new century. But he was a good fighter at one point. beat. I think he had 2 fights with Julius Francis was in the mix as well because he had 2 fights with him. He lost on points. That was his first defeat, Danny. And then he knocked him out in 4 rounds. Danny also held the Commonwealth belt, made a few defences of that as well. But yeah, it was. I thought he lost to Salin Sam for the European title, and that was in Germany. He got knocked out in 6 rounds. So he never held the European, I don't think, but he was British and Commonwealth, long-term British and Commonwealth champ. Then, like I say, he retired. Oh, he fought. I should mention, of course, he fought for the world title against Vitaly Klitschko and got floored 4 times, 5 times. Stopped in 8 rounds. A lot of dogging the guy. And of course, let's not forget the famous Mark Potter fight that Danny had, where he dislocated his shoulder and fought with one arm, his other arm hanging out of the socket, and then knocked Potter out with a left hook. There was a lot of guts in this guy, a lot of guts. But of course, some fighters need saving from themselves, and unfortunately, Danny was one of them, and he has not been saved from himself because he went on to, like I say, to retire and then come back, and it's been a travesty. I mean, at one point he was losing like 8 fights in a row. He's been knocked out frequently. He fought Maris Bradis at one point and got knocked out in a couple of rounds. I think was it a couple of rounds, and then he fought. Who else he fought? He had an Oleg Maskayev, who was past his best, beat him I think on points. But most of his wins over the last 15 years have been against these guys who, if you look at their records, they've got maybe 30 defeats and nearly all of them in the first round. I mean, he's fought absolute no-hopers, people who you can barely call professional boxers. And in between those, completely worthless wins, they've been throwing him in with all sorts of undefeated fighters. And we're long past the point where if he's going to get CTE, stopping boxing now, I mean, it would probably minimise the damage, but he's been shot for years, and it's very, very, very sad to see a guy of that quality, who once had that quality, with 33 defeats, 17 by stoppage. But he's going in on August the 23rd with the Ibeabuchi. You can fully expect the Ibeabuchi to win by knockout. When, I don't know. What's a Ibeabuchi got left? Well, how do you tell when a bloke hasn't fought for over a quarter of a century? But I don't imagine it will be much anyway. So, rather a sad turn of events, rather a farce, I suppose you could say. Well, at least they're the same age. It's not like Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson or someone. But wear and tear wise, Danny is a Ford Fiesta with 500,000 miles on the clock. A Ibeabuchi is a sort of, vintage Ferrari that's been found all dusty in some barn somewhere and hopes to sort of dust it off and let's see if the engine can still do it. I doubt it at 52, but you never know, do you? Anyway, just thought I'd let you know about that fight because I'm sure you're going to put it in your diaries, aren't you? Oh, by the way, I must mention this. This fight is on. It's on something called Prize Fighting TV, and apparently in Nigeria it's pay-per-view. Pay-per-view for this fucking thing. But I think they're going to show it on YouTube as well. So if you did want to watch this freak show, then get on with it. But, yeah. Anyway, let me know what you think. Leave any comments below. Thanks for watching, and thank you very much. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the like button. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. All that good stuff. Have a good day. Bye for now.